Welcome to Rich Man's Theory, exposing mainstream lies in history, education, media, and pop culture. Join us as we get to the bottom of all the confusion and propaganda and present solutions to counterfeit knowledge. Now, here is your host, Dr. Susan, PhD.
Hello. Welcome back to the podcast, Rich Man's Theory. I'm your host, Dr. Susan. Okay, so guess who got shadow banned? I did. What the hell for? I don't say anything that's not common sense. I don't say anything that's, realistically or practically offensive. I mean, if there are some loonies out there that think if somebody has a different opinion, then that constitutes offense, well, then they're loony, for goodness sakes. What's wrong with people? What is wrong with the world where I get shadow banned for the most benign content? Yes, I don't believe in BLM. It's a political movement. Everyone is allowed to have their own political ideas that they support and that they don't support. If you take a look at BLM, you'll realize that A, it's not really about race and it's more about other political agendas. I don't want to go into it. You're more than welcome to look that stuff up. But for me, I'm allowed to say things like I don't support communism. I don't support the political group BLM. I don't support the Nazis. I'm allowed to say these things, okay? I am an autonomous person with a thinking brain and a heart that feels, so I am going to say things like, to hell with BLM. Like, I don't believe in them. Do I believe that people should be treated with respect, that people should not be discriminated against for things that they are born with? Of course, okay? I am totally about freedom, liberty, respect for all human beings, for all sentient beings, for all of the parts that make up our ecosystem and keep us in balance, okay? I believe in love for humanity. I believe in humanity. But you know what? I feel like it's the people who shadow ban people like me. I feel like those are the cretins who do not believe in humanity. But anyway, that is a huge rant because I'm kind of PO'd that I got shadow banned. I noticed that my subscribers just like within 60 seconds, like a 60-second window, all of a sudden half of my subscribers just somehow effed off. And then my viewership was less than 1% of what it usually is. So I'm not really sure why, just because of one of my videos that started getting traction more than others. I'm not really sure what the hell went on there. And then I checked my viewership again in an hour, and then I was up like 60% of my subscribers all of a sudden automatically came back again, but the viewership was still down. I don't know. It was so messed up. So I just took a look to see what is shadow banning. Was I shadow banned? And indeed I was. But whatever. I don't really care. I didn't do anything wrong. Legally, I didn't do anything wrong. Ethically, I didn't do anything wrong. And even according to the community guidelines, I didn't do anything wrong. So that is why I was shadow banned instead of actually banned, according to policy. But whatever. Some people are just lame, I guess. So anyway, let's get to the topic. Today is about democracy. So I thought, okay, what is up with democracy? Like, I'm looking into libertarianism. I'm looking into a lot of stuff, trying to learn about the world, right? Like, so I have a PhD, obviously, and part of my PhD was really trying to understand what I know. How do I know what I know? What do I believe? Why do I believe the things that I believe? Is there such thing as doing good? What is good? How do we know that we're doing good? So it was like these kind of huge, big questions and like the impact that what you think or the way you construe reality affects your behaviors. And obviously, I don't want to be somebody who is preaching one thing and doing another thing. So I don't want to preach. What I want to do is just learn. And I hope that, you folks can join me on my learning journey. So part of it was I wanted to start really learning about economics. And I've taken a lot of courses about economics after my PhD because I realized, okay, doing my PhD in education and educational psychology and curriculum, so on and so forth. That was great, and I loved it, but there were a lot of missing pieces, right? So education would start talking about democracy, it would start talking about equality and equity, it would start talking about economic opportunities and strengthening the economy. So it was just like, okay, so what are all those things? You know, what does it mean to be an equitable society? What does it mean to have a strong economy? And how does the economy even work? And how does education work within the economy? So I started doing some courses on economics. Now, of course, part of the social fabric of economics and politics is democracy, right? So what the hell is this democracy we always hear about? And it seems like we have to protect it at any cost. Is it our collective soul and our collective humanity? Is that why it's so near and dear to the fabric of our very essence of being? Well, it is a political system after all, so already we should approach it with a critical eye. You know, no one should be crying out blasphemy, how dare you question democracy. No, it's a political idea, and therefore let's break it down. Let's think about what the hell is this democracy that we're supposed to sacrifice everything we love for. Okay, so anything political is worth scrutiny. Politics is all about human power over other humans. If you do not know that, I'm telling it to you right now. So that is the definition of politics. It's all about human power and how you use it on others. You could use it for others, but then again, that's another question. You know, why do you need to use it on behalf of people? What's wrong with their power? Was it taken away? Did they give it away? So on and so forth. So here in North America, democracy is our Lord and Savior, and it drives us to go kill people overseas, right? Because they don't have democracy, so we got to kill them in order so that they can get democracy, right? Because once those dead bodies, those murdered bodies get democracy, all will be well. For them, right? It's about them. We care about them, so we got to kill them so that we can give them something we love called democracy. And their dead bodies will surely thank us for it. So democracy, they tell us it comes from this word demokritos, some sort of Greek philosopher pre-Socrates, and he is the one who thought up of the atomic theory of the universe. Okay, so the atomic theory of the universe, what does that have to do with the political system of majority rules, right? I thought that's what democracy was, being ruled by the 51% of the vote. So let's go on our best friend Wikipedia, which of course is shillish. I just made up that word, but a shilling kind of institution. And if I look at it here, it says that he was born in some place called Thrace. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And it was about 460 BC. And his interests were metaphysics. I like metaphysics too. I got into that pretty recently. Mathematics, love math, and astronomy. Okay, cool. Still not understanding where this whole democracy business comes in. All right, so then he was, what? Telling me a whole bunch of stuff about where he was born. He visited Egypt, okay, big deal. All right, then it says philosophy and science. Okay, so it says that he followed in the tradition of something I cannot pronounce, hippopotamus, and they carried on the scientific rationalist philosophy with Miletus or mullets. Maybe they had mullets. Maybe this is where we get mullets from, and democracy is all about everyone getting mullets. I'm being weird. It doesn't matter. And then, this is pretty interesting because my first episode talks about The Thinker by Rodin, which is a really creepy art exhibit with a lot of esoteric meaning. But what I do like about it superficially is that Rodin's The Thinker statue shows how difficult it is to think critically and deeply and freely, really. And then, so right here on this Wikipedia page for Democritus, he looks like the thinker. He's sitting in a very similar position, and then he has a skull in one hand while he is thinking. So clearly some sort of Freemasonry going on here. And, all right, cool. cool. So he's meditating. That's what it says. It says Democratus meditating on the seat of the soul. And it's by an artist called Leon Alexander Delholm. I'm going to have to look at that. I'm going to have to look into that. Now, I'm not really sure where this whole democracy thing is coming in. So I'm just going to do a keyword search here for democracy. Okay, here we go. Ethics and politics. The ethics and politics of this man, Democritus, come to us mostly in the form of maxims. Okay, he says that equality is everywhere noble, but he is not encompassing enough to include women or slaves. Nice. Poverty in a democracy is better than prosperity under tyrants. For the same reason, one is to prefer liberty over slavery. In his History of Western Philosophy, Bertrand Russell writes that Democritus was in love with what the Greeks called democracy. Democritus said, "The wise man belongs to all countries, for the home of a great soul is the whole world." So he's obviously into globalization. Okay, so that could be a tie why we have to love democracy, because it leads to globalization. And anyone who doesn't understand how terrible globalization is, I'm going to have to make an episode then on the horrendous effects on human life, human culture, human identity, all of that because of this disgusting monster called globalization. Okay, so Democritus wrote that those in power should take it upon themselves to lend to the poor and to aid them and to favor them. Then is there pity and no isolation, but companionship and mutual defense. So very, very much, in my opinion, this sounds like the nanny state, right? That, you know, the big brother is watching you and loves you, and we will take pity on you, and we will have these socialist regimes in place to take care of you financially and socially, and we will favor you, yada, yada, yada. So I'm not even sure how these things are good, but okay, there you go. Democritus. Y'all can look into that further if you'd like to know, but let's fast forward to present day democracy. So it's ruled by 51% of the vote, and these votes are only counted for these predetermined choices that you have. So the system approves two or three choices, and then you got to go and choose one of these three choices that lead to some form of hell on earth. And then, you know, this is democracy, and we have to sacrifice everything for it. Now, in our extremely incoherent and uncohesive society, where everyone has their own ideas of what reality is, what ethics are, what good and bad is, we do not share an epistemological value system. We do not share a social value system, right? Which is a problem when we start talking about multiculturalism, which I think I have an episode coming up on that one, because that one I did a really good job with because it was part of my PhD. But anyhow, the point is that we are very fragmented when we talk about diversity. So we want to pretend that we care about other people's opinions, which we don't, hence me being shadow banned. But at the same time, what we do is we fragment it such that we prevent having any kind of coherent, unifying, epistemological overview that unites us and allows us to function as a healthy, strong, united community who does share values and therefore works towards those values in the appropriate way, right? So instead we are fragmented, multiculturalism, to each his own, that's fine, but we're all living integrated. So then what? How do I vote? You know, my vote is obviously going to oppress somebody else because we're all living in the same community, and what I believe is good, they probably believe is bad. And therefore, you see, without this kind of epistemological shared community value, we are not going to have good results from democracy, right? Like being ruled by the majority, because if you are not in the majority, then you could be numerous different minority groups who make up the majority, but then you would still be subjected to ideals, ideas, and values that are against your own. And then therefore, you're subjugated to somebody else's, what you consider to be BS, right? So it doesn't make sense. And Alexis de Tocqueville stated that people will be subjected to other people's ideals and agendas against their will and against their voting. No, that's what I said. As Alexis de Tocqueville stated, majority can be just as tyrannical as a dictator. So we see this actually when people say, oh, I'm voting for such and such because it's the lesser evil. And they think that they are such heroes for doing that. It's the lesser evil. Like, I know it's a dumb idea. I don't need anyone to tell me, but it's less dumb. Very good. What a stupid philosophy. Giving power to an evil outcome. Supporting evil just because you consider it to be a little bit palatable. Like, oh, I can swallow it. I can compromise myself for that. What a goddamn hero. It's like, oh, I can do business with that evil. I'm such a hero. F you. All right, now from libertarianism.org, I found this metaphor, which I quite like. It says, democracy is a game of rock, paper, scissors. In the simplest of these cases, there are 3 voters. Voter 1, 2, and 3. They choose by majority rule among options A, B, and C. Voter 1 prefers A to B, B to C. Voter 2 prefers option B to C and option C to A. Voter 3 prefers option C to A and option A to B. Okay, so if options A and B are the only political options, then a majority, voters 1 and 3, would prefer A to B. However, a majority would also prefer C to A, okay? Because that would be the number 2. Number 2 group would prefer C, but number 1 and 3, they prefer A, and they're both, against one value is against the other, right? So, by majority rule, A defeats B, C defeats A, and B defeats C, but no one option can defeat all others by majority rule. So there really is no majority rule, right? Because it's just choosing the lesser evil or whatever I might prefer when I'm giving just 2 options. In other words, it's a mind F, okay? Because democratic leaders run the risk of being kicked out, right? They're obviously going to implement policies that make them look good in the short run, right? And then so obviously they're in their own interest. So whoever, like the lobbyists that support them or give them money or whatever, or say that we're going to vote you in, they're obviously going to cater to those people and not to, the dumb people who voted in their evil agenda because it was an evil that they could swallow. And then that reminds me of that whole Trump thing about, you stupid woman, I was a snake, why the hell would you take me in? Oh, because you were a snake that I could do business with. Well, you can't do business with evil and you can't do business with snakes. Like, who the hell do you think you are that you can, do business with evil? Evil hates you. Otherwise it wouldn't be evil. So F you for voting for it. Anyway, the conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and the opinions of the masses is an important element in the democratic society. So there is propaganda. So my question to you is democracy a system of government that is actually a government by propaganda? The answer is of course. We are absolutely indoctrinated via propaganda through many mechanisms: education, mainstream media, politics, and pop culture. Now, according to Ilan Pappé, who is an international scholar, he says, academia, as always, becomes part of the propaganda machinery. The prestigious private university, the Interdisciplinary Center, has established a civilian headquarters where students volunteer to serve as mouthpieces in the propaganda campaign abroad. Okay, so here you have Ilan Pappé talking about how universities actually use students to go ahead and further political agendas, thinking that they are some sort of, social justice warriors or whatever it may be. Now, according to Noam Chomsky, the intelligent minority has to run the country in the interests of the general population. So basically, he's talking about this select few. You can call them the select, the elect, the controllers, the invisible hand, whatever. It's just that minority of people who seem to be making all the rules and tricking us into thinking that it's our decisions. Okay, so this minority people, these controllers, they don't believe that the majority or the unwashed masses are qualified to make decisions because they are going to make terrible decisions. And so what they're going to do is they're going to manufacture consent or engineer consent, make us believe that when we make a choice, it's because we wanted to. It was our intention and it was in our best interest. But really, the joke is on us. All right, so basically the social controller's goal is, and again, according to Chomsky, to create uninformed consumers who will make irrational choices. And you're more than welcome to look up all of that stuff. So I think I might do a lot of stuff, or another episode, I should say, on propaganda. But before I end this episode, I just want to kind of go over a few more points. That education was created in order to channel the elites' ideals and agendas. It was never about freedom. It primes people's minds to be accepting of government rule, certain political ideals, and to make us feel empowered while we are wearing our shackles. So that sounds dim and sad, but I will be making an episode very shortly on how to decode their nonsense, their BS, and how to protect ourselves from their disgusting agendas and making us feel small. We are not small. Okay, we're not minorities. We are just as powerful and I think we're even better than they are, because we don't need to oppress or lie or engage in dirty deals like they do. So I'll definitely go into a little bit of some solutions and how to excise ourselves from their disgusting grasp. So I hope you do check it out. I know I was a little bit weird and off my rocker today, but sometimes you just gotta deal with the nonsense in a fun way and in a way that you just want to be free when you speak. If you liked it, you liked it. You didn't like it, well, that's fine. I'm shadow banned anyways. That's all good. Just want to thank you so much for those people who do support, for the kind messages that people send me, for the encouragement. Thank you so much. I've been super busy because I have a job that pays the bills. Obviously, doing this doesn't, so I got to just manage my time. And hopefully just stick with me and be patient with me because there's going to be lots more to come. Thank you so much and have an amazing day. Bye.